Are we on?
I think we're live.
We're on. Yeah. So I would like to welcome you to my Facebook Live this evening. I'm also doing an Instagram Live for the first time ever, and I don't really know how it works. So this is the Facebook and this is the Instagram. I hope it works. It's a really this Facebook video is a really important video for me because 3 years ago on Tuesday was the very first time that I took part in an endurance event. I've just been told that some people have tuned in, so thank you very much. Would you just let me know that you can hear me all right, because I've got a new microphone set up and I just want to know that it's plugged in right. So could you just do a like and a comment? Yes, Laura, I can hear you. That would be great. I would hate to be babbling on and you guys not be able to hear me. So coming back to my video, I'm actually coming to you from La Gomera, which is in the Canary Islands, and even as I say it, I can't quite believe it. I'm here working for a company called Rannoch Adventure, and they make ocean rowing boats. In fact, it was the ocean rowing boat that I rowed around Great Britain with, and I'm here as the social media consultant for that company, which just seems crazy because I never have studied social media. I've never gone to university to study that. I actually went to college years ago to become a beauty therapist, and this all started when I first took part in an endurance event 3 years ago on Tuesday. So I'm doing this more for myself. And I just really want to share the story. I've actually had to write some notes because the journey has been it's not too complex, but it's a journey where if I hadn't taken part in that event, it was called Primal Events Fear. If I hadn't taken part in that event, then I would not, I can tell you now, hands down, like I would not be here. And I'm going to explain the whole story. So you guys can hear me. I'm really happy. If at any stage you have any questions, like I would love to answer. I'm going to take you through my journey first, and then maybe 10, 15 or 20 minutes into my chat, then I have someone here to help me today to answer your questions. So I'm 35. When I was 30, I owned a beauty salon. I'd had it since I was 24, and I earned a lot of money. For some reason, I was really good at doing that job, and my salon was jam-packed. I knew how to run a successful business, but what I didn't know was how to manage my money. And so therefore, when I earned it, I spent it on lots and lots of things, such as iPods and iPads, computers, furniture, flat screen TVs. I had designer clothes. I would just spend it everywhere, and I thought that it would make me happy, and it turns out that it didn't. When I turned 31, I started running because I'd always had in my head that I wanted to run through the mountains and run through the countryside, and I had it in my head that I would be great at it. So I went and bought a pair of trainers, like the finest that money can buy, and I put them on, and I thought, well, I'll run around the block and then I'll run to the forest at the back of my house. And so I put them on, and it turns out that I only got to the bridge at the end of my road, and my knees were in so much pain and my lungs were hurting so much that I had to walk back. The bridge at the end of the road was 0.7 miles away, and I was just so frustrated that I wasn't able to fulfill my goal of running into the forest at the back of my house. I'd always been fit. As a child, I was a dancer, and when I was in my teenage years and early 20s, I would go to the gym. So I always thought I was fit, and I thought running would be easy. Turns out it wasn't. This particular story I tell in a lot of the talks that I do when I go and see schools and businesses. I call it To the Bridge and Back, because that moment of running to the bridge was also quite a pivotal point in my life. I decided on the day that I got back, when I was crying, that I wanted to be a runner, and so therefore every day I ran to the bridge And every day I got a little bit further home. And one day I could run all the way to the bridge and run all the way home and not be in so much pain. Over the course of the next 2 years, I was able to run 5K. I was able to run 10K. And my dreams of running through the countryside and up mountains started to become slightly more realistic. But the only problem is that none of my friends were into that kind of stuff. They were just into buying designer clothes and going to pubs and clubs and meeting guys and just wanting massive houses and having a material life. But I felt as though I had grown out of that because I realised that it didn't make me happy. So I didn't realise that this would happen, but I started doing obstacle racing, and I met so many friends that I was then able to join in their adventures to go running with. And finally I was able to run in the countryside and started doing marathons and even started climbing mountains. And I just thought, this is so great, because this is something that I've wanted for 2 years. I've now got a group of people that I can join and do adventures with, and my body is now capable of running. And one day I was sitting in my kitchen on Facebook. I've got a blog post on my website. It's called Primal Events on Trial Fear. So if anyone wants to read it, I wouldn't recommend it actually because it's crap. I'm not very good at writing, but I was sitting at my kitchen table and something popped up about this 24-hour event. Now this was 3 years ago and 6 weeks, and I thought, God, that looks so good. I would love to be able to do endurance events like that. I'd followed female athletes like Amelia Boone in America. She was one of my heroes, and I just thought I'd love to do something like that, but I'd never be able to do it. And I said to the guy that I was with at the time, I said, like, hey, come and look at this. I would love to do something like this. And he said, like, I don't think you're capable, so don't bother entering. And I thought, you know what, you're probably right. Like, I can just stick to my running, and that's fine. So I liked the post, and then I commented on it, and I just said I would love to do something like this. And then I just thought, you know, that will never be me. And then a friend saw that I'd liked the post, and he messaged me within maybe an hour. He messaged me and said, I know the organisers of this event. They have a free ticket and I would like to give it to you. And I just froze, because I thought, I want to do an event like this so much, but it's in 6 weeks. It's in the middle of winter. I've never done anything like it. I'm not in any physical shape to do it, but I want to do it. And I said yes. I said yes to doing it. And then that was it. The adrenaline was rushing through my body. It was a team event, and I just got straight on my computer and I did some research of all the people that had done the event before, and I just messaged them, hey, you don't know me. This is so random. I've been offered a ticket. Like, do you want to join me? Do you want to be part of my team? And I'm chuffed because the people that I asked said yes. So 3 years ago on Tuesday, I turned up in Chesterfield and started my first 24-hour event. And I didn't think that I would finish. I didn't think that I was capable of finishing something. The long and short of it is that I did finish. And not only did I finish, but my team and I won. And it was 25 and a half hours. And when I finished, I just felt incredible. The challenge itself was hard. And during the challenge, I felt awful, but when I finished, it just gave me the most incredible feeling ever. And I just thought, well, I did 25 hours, what can I do now? And the race directors of the 24-hour event had a 48-hour event happening in May. So this was November of 2014, and in May 2015 there was having a 48-hour event, and I thought, I wonder if I will be able to complete it, because only one female had ever completed it. So I entered, and this was where it got good. I entered the event and I actually forgot something. Backtrack, the 24-hour event, maybe some of you have heard it already. The 24-hour event, one of the tasks that we had to do in that event was trade a bag of sugar for as much money as we can. So for those that have been following my Atlantic rowing campaign, the Swap the Jacket campaign, swapping my Chanel jacket to the value of £100,000, actually came from the event that I did 3 years ago, because I was able to swap a bag of sugar worth 70p up to the value of £86 within 60 minutes. And so I always had that challenge in the back of my head, like, I can't believe that my team and I did that. We increased our value of the bag of sugar 123 times in 60 minutes. So it always stuck in the back of my head about how creative people can be under pressure. So more on that in a bit. Coming forward again to May 2015, I took part in the 48-hour event and I finished it. And off the back of that, I got a telephone call from the race directors, and they said, Laura, we're really impressed with your performance during the 24-hour event and the 48-hour event. We have a question for you. And I just thought, what are they going to ask me? Do they want me to do like a 72-hour event? They said to me, would you like to row across the Atlantic with us? And I said, yes. I'd said yes to the 24-hour event. I'd said yes to the 48-hour event. And I just thought, if these guys who I really respected, they were hardcore endurance guys, if they wanted me to join their team and to row across the Atlantic, then I just had to say yes. I wasn't a rower. I had no idea how to raise the money to do it. I just thought, this is crazy. I'm the least experienced to do something like this, but I just went ahead and did it. Several events happened from there where the two guys that asked me to do the Atlantic Challenge, we needed to find another guy. And so there was a guy on the 48-hour challenge that we thought was great, and we invited him to do the Atlantic Challenge, 3 men and a little lady. And we headed down to this boatyard called Aranic Adventure. They built boats, and apparently they built the best boats there was. And this guy called Charlie Pitcher greeted us in the boatyard, and I remember he had on a t-shirt and jeans. He had on a red pair of socks, some Nike trainers and a blazer, and I just thought, this dude is wild. Like, I'd already done some research on him, and he'd rowed across the Atlantic twice. He had set a world record for the fastest man to ever row across the Atlantic, and I just thought, I cannot believe I'm here. And then I met his colleague Angus, and Angus had rowed across 3 oceans, and I'd already done some research on him about the world records that he achieved, and I'm thinking, I can't believe that I'm meeting these 2 guys and potentially they're going to be building my boat. And so then, as the months went on and the fundraising that we were doing for the Atlantic Row, it became apparent that the 2 of the guys actually couldn't take part because the training was they had families and they had jobs, and the training, the fundraising, was just too stressful. So it just left myself and another teammate of mine, and we were going to then row across the Atlantic as a pair. Again, that didn't work out, sadly. So going from 3 men and a little lady, it just ended up to a little lady. So I was just, I still wanted to row across the Atlantic, but I had no one to do it with. So I'd been training to do that for a year, and I had 1 year of training in my body. And so therefore I thought I need to put that somewhere. I need to put that energy somewhere. And then one day on Facebook, I saw that Rannoch Adventure, the company that I'd seen who built the boats, Charlie and Angus, had set up an expedition to row around Great Britain. And I thought, well, maybe this is the journey that I need to do in order to to fulfill my dream to get in an ocean rowing boat. And so once again I said yes, I'll do it. And I had no idea how to raise the money. It was £21,000 to take part. I just thought, I've got no idea how to do it. And for those that followed the journey, you'll know that it was tough. Like it was the toughest thing I had ever done in my whole life. There's been some really low points in my life, but because that was self-inflicted, I was choosing to put myself in that situation that actually made it the toughest. But fortunately I raised the money. So I had a company called eMove, and they sponsored me they sponsored me part of the money to do the row, and I raised the money. And I really learned that doing all of the hard stuff and all of the graft, it really does result in the good. So there I am, I'm rowing around Great Britain with the company Rannoch Adventure that I had met when I agreed to sign up to row across the Atlantic. And it was I just asked the guys just before going live, what was it? I'm getting ahead of myself. So I'm rowing around Great Britain and I'm making video diaries and I'm taking pictures. And the video diaries that I made, like sometimes only 26 people would watch it, and I would just think to myself, like, why am I doing this? Because doing the diaries all throughout the day, then they would take me an hour every evening to edit, like every night. It was just so monotonous and such hard work. And all the time I was thinking, like, why am I doing this? But it turns out that the video diaries landed me a job with Rannoch Adventure, because I was on the boat rowing around Great Britain, and the guys said to me, like, we really like what you do. Do you want to come and do a little bit of work for us? And then I'm just thinking, like, is this actually happening? Like, this is a dream? But actually not even a dream, because a dream suggests that I would have thought about it. Like, I would have thought that it was something that I wanted to do or was possible. But I didn't think in a million years that a company like that would want me to work for them. So once again, I said yes. And that leads me right here. So I've been working for them for about 4 months, and I'm really pleased that they're pleased that I'm doing a good job. And they invited me out to La Gomera, where I am now, to document the start of the Talisker Whisky Race, which sets off in 2 weeks and 2 days. It's a race that's 3,000 miles, and the guys, there's 29 teams. They're going to set off from here and row 3,000 miles across the Atlantic. It's the challenge that actually I was going to take part in 2 years ago with my team, 3 men and little ladies, and now I'm here working. I'm getting to meet the teams and interview them and document it on social media. And I wanted to, like I said at the beginning, I wanted to talk myself through the journey, because like I just can't believe it, how if it wasn't for me saying yes to that 24-hour event 3 years ago, and then joining to the 48-hour event, and then being asked to row across the Atlantic, and then finding out about ocean rowing and rowing around Great Britain, that led me to make my video diaries and learn how to use social media. And from that, it landed me a job working with these guys in this fabulous country and meeting these fabulous people. Like, I never, 5 years ago when I owned my beauty salon and I had all that stuff and I couldn't run and I just used to go down the gym and do aerobics, like if someone said, Laura, in 5 years you're going to be social media consultant out in the Canaries documenting the start of an Atlantic race, I just would have said, like, shut up, no way, like, what are you talking about? And it is just a dream come true. So on that note, I have spoken for quite a long time. I hope that it all made sense. I have someone who is making a note of your questions and your comments, and so therefore I'll start answering your questions. Please ask me anything, because Yeah, like I've got my notes. There's some other stuff that I want to talk about, but maybe I'll talk about that in a minute. Cool, thank you.
So we've got a comment from James Appleton.
Oh, such a dreamboat, yeah.
Believe it, LT, you reap what you sow. The reason you're here is yourself. I think a lot of people, we talked about this earlier on, that a lot of people talk about, oh, you're such a lucky person, you can be in La Gomera, and how luck isn't down to it, it's down to saying yes to things. So
Yeah.
if you could talk about, I think what the question's going for, if you talk about why it's so important to say yes to these kind of things,
Yeah.
to open so many more doors.
Yeah, James Appleton is the one that made my video 2 days before I left for Around Great Britain Road, and he was the one that was able to raise the rest of the money. And then I was going to say something, but I forgot. Yeah, people call it luck, but it really is. For me, it's been really hard work, and I've also made some really big sacrifices to the point where when I was fundraising to row around Great Britain, I was saving so much money that some days I was just surviving on like a can of beans, because I figured that if I could just save £5 every day, I could just put that towards my row. And there were times where I got in such a state that I didn't even have anywhere to live. Sometimes I ended up at the doctor's because I'd put myself under so much mental stress. Like, I sacrificed so much, and I'm not saying that other people should do that, because my friends and family were so worried about me, but I wanted it so bad, and I sacrificed so much, and like, I'm just so grateful to have what I've got right now.
Another question we've got, actually it's not a question, Paul Robson, I hope you've got your sound sorted. Everyone else seems to have sound. Maybe you've got your phone on mute.
Oh, Paul, everyone else can hear me.
We've got Jay Perry.
Cool, hi Jay Perry.
You inspire me and keep me motivated, thank you. Now, James Appleton, back to you. Does LT have any individuals that inspire her?
He always asks me questions that I don't instantly know the answer to. Always. It's probably a little bit. I'm definitely not one to follow celebrities or anything like that. There's so many people in the community of ocean rowing and obstacle racing and the adventure world that just that do inspire me. So someone like Sarah Williams, who takes care of the Tough Girl podcast, I've seen and heard like how hard she works, and she just gives it her all. And then there's a female adventurer friend of mine called Bex Band, and just over a year ago she was working as a teacher, and she decided that she wanted to become a paid adventurer, and within 1 year she's made that dream happen, and she has worked so hard for that and self-educated everything. My bosses, who I know it's cliche, but my bosses Charlie and Angus, I work closely with them, and they have got world records across the oceans, and they work really hard. Their passion and their knowledge, I'm just in awe of them, and I just hope that one day I can achieve something across an ocean to kind of to make them proud. And just normal people. I think just normal people, even people at parkrun, you know, the people at the back that clearly aren't fit. Just the fact that they're getting up and doing something about it. Just no one big and no one big names. Just normal people. I think I see people every day. There's teams that are arriving out here, and they inspire me. We've got the Chinese female team that are rowing across the Atlantic. They're 22 and 23, the youngest female team to do it. They never would have left China if it hadn't have been for this opportunity, and now they're out here. They're going to be the first Chinese team to row across any ocean. They inspire me. Just everyone that gets up and does something that pushes themselves out of their comfort zone all the time. I just think like that's great.
Who was the person you mentioned earlier, the Tough Mother girl? or
Who?
world champion female American?
Oh, Amelia Boone.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she's got a really good quote that actually I think of you when I hear it. That she's not the fastest, she's not the fittest, but she's the best at putting up with pain for the longest.
Yeah.
And I think your campaign for Running Around Britain showed that, like the dedication you put towards that.
Yeah.
That's a prime example. So she may be someone that you also maybe look up to or admire in a little.
She
little
is
way.
a little bit of a female crush, but I do think she is the fittest, and I do think she is the fastest. Well, she clearly is, because she beats all the guys.
We've got Dan Scott.
Oh, dude, Dan Scott, I love this. Yeah.
Doesn't matter how slowly you're running, you're lapping everyone who is at home on their sofa.
Oh, I like all of this like inspirational stuff. It's really cool.
God, James Appleton, you are brilliant. What were the best and worst bits of rowing around Britain?
Oh, okay. The best bits was my team. Something that I never thought possible. Because being part of the team that was on the boat was for me going to be the most daunting, like a massive social experiment. I just thought, how am I going to live on this tiny boat with all these people that I just don't know? And actually, they're from completely different worlds to me. The majority of ocean rowers, to my understanding, are privately educated, and I know it shouldn't be a problem, but LT from like Dartford, I've got nothing in common with these people, but I get on this boat, and the highlight of rowing around Great Britain was my team. Probably every day was just the best day, apart from rowing across the Irish Sea when it was about 40 degrees and I had to wear 2 layers of clothes to stop me from getting burned, and I thought I was gonna die. And then to top it off, my teammates built boiling water on me, so then I went in the cabin and cried. But apart from that, it was just great and completely worth it.
How about rowing into Hartlepool down the East Coast?
Oh, I was asleep. Yeah, in foresight weather. That was ridiculous. And that was the closest we came to capsize, and I was out on the deck by myself. And if I'd have been honest with myself, I was petrified. My stomach was here, but I thought there's no point in being scared because it just doesn't sort anything out. So I stayed calm, and these waves were as tall as a house. We was in the pitch black, but you could just see the wave really high, and then we nearly went on the side because I pressed the wrong button, and then we basically had to do an emergency pull in. But I was so traumatised that when I came off the oars, I just went into the cabin and went asleep and left everyone else to row us in. Have I got any more questions?
This is Lou Fraser. What advice would you give to people who wanted to go on a big adventure?
Yeah, totally. Okay. Brilliant question. Best comment. The best one. I was sitting at my kitchen table 3 years ago and 6 weeks, and I was told by the man that I loved, that I was dating at the time, I wasn't capable of doing a 24-hour event, but I wanted to do it so bad. When I was offered that ticket to do it, I said yes. And everything that I've spoke about tonight is proof that great things happen when you push outside of your comfort zone. Because if I hadn't have said yes to that 24-hour event, I wouldn't have taken part in the 48-hour event. I wouldn't have then been asked to row across the Atlantic. I wouldn't have met Angus and Charlie, who then I rowed around Great Britain with, and they wouldn't have offered me a job. And I certainly, not in a million years, would I be here right now in the Canaries about to document the start of the Talisker Whisky Atlantic Challenge. So my advice is, if you want to do something, like, you just need to do it. Like, don't overthink it. And even I was saying to Angus, who is helping me this evening record, that I get nervous about doing a Facebook Live. I get really nervous, And I think to myself, oh, maybe I'll just cancel, like maybe I'll just make up an excuse. But you know that feeling of being scared and not being inside your comfort zone, like that's where the good stuff happens, that's where the juicy stuff happens, that's where the opportunity comes and people see that you're doing something. And it's almost like, sounds really spiritual, but it's almost like an energy. As soon as you're doing something that's outside of your comfort zone, it's like Mother Nature recognizes that and rewards you. She will give you an opportunity for doing that. And so many times I've found that all of this, everything I've spoke to you about, I don't want anyone to think that I've always been like this. Some notes that I wrote to myself. When I was younger, I'd never been camping, I never went hiking. My mum and dad had a caravan, but we never did adventures. The first time I went camping, I was 25 years old, and I hated it. I used to do mountain biking, and I dated a guy, and he loved mountain biking, and he would get up at 5 a.m. and say, come on, let's go mountain biking in the mountains. And I'd go, yeah, but in my head I was thinking, like, I'd rather die than do this, but I only went because I fancied him so much. And you know, we went for about a year, and I hated it. I just thought, I can't believe anyone does this for fun. Like, getting up at 5 when it's dark, going and getting covered in mud, doing dangerous stuff, and working out for like 12 hours a day. Like, how can anyone find this enjoyable? But it turns out, like, that's now what I love. And it's because in this case I was forced, because I really fancied the guy, but it pushed me outside my comfort zone. But I was not that child. I was not brought up like that. We didn't go hiking. My first pair of walking boots I bought for that 24-hour event. You know, I just wasn't that person. I would be at home watching TV, just normal, you know. And I was 32 when I first decided that, okay, so now's the time that I want to do. I'm gonna do what I've always wanted to do. I really went on there, but it's really important. Like, if you want to do something, you do it. And off the back of that, another note that I've written myself, it feels really, sometimes it feels stupid for me to say this, but this is a goal that I really want to do. So as a social media consultant, I've been doing it for 4 months. Everything I do is self-educated. I read books, I listen to podcasts, I watch YouTube videos, and I'm now getting the opportunity, because I work for Rannoch Adventure, I'm now getting the opportunity to represent individuals and teams. And so that's something that I never thought possible. I would also like to do something called LTTV, and that means inviting people who inspire me to sit and do an interview in front of a camera, and just for me to ask them all of the questions, like, how did you get into it? How do you fund your life? What's the toughest thing you've ever done? So I really want to do LTTV, and this is the first time that I've broadcast it to people. I've maybe told 2 or 3 people that I want to do it, but this is the first time. And so to actually tell people you want to do something and then just make it happen. So LTTV hopefully will start next week. Goodness knows how it's gonna what's gonna happen. I've got no experience, but you know what? I've got to start somewhere. I've just got to get my phone out. I've got to get the person sitting next to me, and then I'm just going to ask them the questions, and then I'm going to post it on YouTube, and then who knows? It might be good, it might be bad.
So I've got one more question that coincides with another one of your great passions, which is...
Food.
Food.
Oh, does it actually?
Yeah.
Does it?
This is from LWest336. Is that your friend Lou?
Is that on it? Is that Instagram?
This is Insta.
Oh wow, I've never gone live on Instagram. See? Outside the comfort zone.
You are an inspiration. You give me the fire in my belly to do the stuff that I've always said no to because I'm too scared. Also, you've got me doing the anti-inflammatory shots.
Oh, so funny. How do they know about the anti-inflammatory shots?
So can you explain a little bit more about your passion for not all foods, but a lot of healthy foods, and what is an anti-inflammatory shot?
Yeah. We won't tell them that we was eating chocolate today. So I kind of want to leave that a surprise. I want to write a blog about it. For those on Facebook that don't follow me on Instagram, I've been doing this anti-inflammatory shot and putting it on Instagram every morning on my stories, and it is full on rank. Like, it actually makes me gag. And it's got the worst part of it is cider vinegar, olive oil, cayenne pepper, and turmeric. And it's like, there's so many layers of gag. First of all, you get the cayenne, it just hits your throat, and then you get the cider vinegar up your nose, and it is so mank. But at the same time, like magic, it's so magic. So I do plan on writing the recipe down, and I'll put it on my blog because I can't remember it off by heart. I do. It tastes horrible, but also it does my body a lot of good, because I hurt my knee in a big run that I did a few weeks ago, and it was better within about 2 weeks, and I think it was because of the anti-inflammatory shot. And also thank you for the question on Instagram. That's really cool, because I've never gone live on Instagram before. Cool. So we'll probably wind this up. I've been talking loads. Probably wind it up. My next project now is to row across the Atlantic, so I'm now going to hopefully fulfill the dream, the opportunity that I was given 2 years ago. I've got a project called Swap the Jacket, which I haven't been able to continue with because I've been in the Canary Islands. I'm here for another 2 weeks. Hopefully when I get back, I will continue that. And that was another thing that I was extremely uncomfortable with doing. I thought to myself, what are people going to think when I start this campaign? They're going to, just all of those things. She's a Wally, why is she doing it? Why doesn't she just do normal fundraising? All these things go through my head. And I wanted to do Swap the Jacket for 2 years. And then one day, a few weeks ago, I just thought, I've had enough of thinking about it and wanting it. I'm just going to do it. So I grabbed my phone. I grabbed my Chanel jacket. I went upstairs. I took the video in 10 minutes. I edited it within 20 minutes. It was on Facebook within the hour, and it got 10,000 views. And then I swapped it the following week, the Chanel jacket, for a coffee machine. And the ultimate goal is to trade all of these items up to the value of £100,000. So then I can then trade that in for an ocean rowing boat and all of the equipment and row across the Atlantic to set a female world record. And so it's all part of the journey. It all happened because of the event that I did 3 years ago. And that's it. Are there any more questions before we sign out?
I think we're there.
I'm just checking over my notes. Yeah, that's it. In short, if you want to do something, just do it. Don't get scared. In fact, being scared's good. Just wake up and think, stuff it, I'll do it. That's it. Thank you for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate your support a lot. And please follow what I'm up to over the next few weeks on my Instagram stories. Such a shameless plug. See you later.